I've been shooting videos since 2017, which means it's almost been a decade of me making a living doing this. Now, I didn't go to school for this. I actually dropped out of high school when I was 16 and moved to London to learn English when I was 18, worked as a bartender for many years, but nothing really felt right. All of this, all the clients I worked with, all of the videos I made on this channel, everything just happened because I found something I liked and I stuck to it. You don't need a degree to work as a videographer, filmmaker, cinematographer, whatever you want to call us. You just need passion for the craft. And this is why I wanted to make this video, because if you are in a situation where you aren't sure if things are working out, just keep working at it, trust the process, and you will see things will work out. Well, the thing is, we're freelancers, which means that no matter how experienced you are, you'll always end up hitting a wall at some point. Doesn't matter if you've been doing it for a year, 5 years, 10 years, you get dry periods, and you have to be prepared for it. Because every single time that happens, and yes, it still happens to me. Well, actually, it just kind of happened to me a month ago where every single client I was working with, the contract kind of ended. There was no new clients, no new emails from brands, and I was a little bit like, well, that's it. I have to go back bartending, I guess. Because every single time that happens, even after almost a decade of doing this work, I shit my pants. This links perfectly into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is things don't just happen. You don't just, wake up in the morning with a million emails on your inbox from brands and clients who want to work with you just because you posted a couple of videos on Instagram or YouTube. You have to work hard and you have to reach out first from your hand. It is actually very few people that I met that they barely do any outreach. And that's usually happening only when you're actually on the top. So for example, in this month that I just had, instead of panicking, like I probably would have done a few years ago, because I know it's only a small period of time, what I do is reach out to new clients and try and get that work that I really want to, because I have the work to prove for it. I have the work that I did with brands, with hotels, with, you name it. And yes, I'm lucky to have it, but I've also been working myself for the last 10 years, which means that I built my portfolio to the level that it is right now. So instead of freaking out because I have no work, I sent about 150 emails in the last month, and I did land myself a few clients, which hopefully will stick around, or they will lead to even more clients. And all of this is to say that things don't just happen. You have to work for it. You know what's the worst advice I've ever got as a filmmaker? Be niche. Honestly, that. I can't believe people still believe that being niche, it's the route to success. Because the more niche you are, the more roof over your head you have. And not the kind of roof that covers you from rain, but the kind of roof that keeps you from growing. All of those photographers, filmmakers that you admire, they're super niche, they're only shooting one thing. You know how they got there? By testing the waters, testing everything until they found something they liked. They didn't just go all in on one specific side of things. They did everything. They spread themselves over so many different kind of industries until they found something they liked. That's how you become niche. So don't just try be niche. Just do everything until you find something you like. And still, when you do find something you like, just keep doing everything else and slowly become niche. Don't just be niche, because that's dumb. Being niche is dumb because it makes you meet way less people. Like, the more people you meet, the more people talk about you, the more your name gets thrown around, the more work you get. And I'm not saying you have to get all the work that you get asked for, but being niche just keeps you from meeting the people that eventually will get you those niche jobs. So being niche, I just think it's dumb. Prove me wrong, but this is my opinion. And I say this because this actually happened to me not long ago. I was in Bali, I was this cool filmmaker who I think makes short docs for culture, and that's literally all I shot. And guess what? Now that I moved to Lisbon, I had the driest month of my life because I have no other contacts by that, and I can't really shoot what I was shooting there here. So my whole niche strategy doesn't work. Oh, and talking about being dumb, I think we should talk about some of your Instagram and YouTube people's favorite argument, which is, don't work for free. Well, it depends how you work for free. Because working for free meaning that you're putting a 1-minute video, a 30-second video, you're just putting so much work towards something that you only get like a $50 a night from a hotel back. It's not worth it. But working for free for a very well-known hotel, which will then get you a lot more work, that's a good strategy. So there's two different sides to collaborations. One, they only do it to stay for free in a hotel, and they treat content like it's, an apple at a supermarket, and one that actually sees the vision and works towards that vision with the help of a free video. Now, I have clients for 5+ years that I work still to this day with, that I started as a collaboration for free. And I just saw their vision, I trusted their vision, they saw my value, they trusted my value, and now we've been working together for 5+ years together. This would have not happened if I didn't say yes to free work. And also, in the world of cinematography and filmmaking, the most important part of things is knowing people. The more people you know, the more your name gets thrown around the room, the more work you get. All right, we're at that part of the video where some of you might want to switch things off because I'm about to say it. You don't need that new FX20, Canon C200. The Pixie's 20K. You don't need any of that. You're fine with the camera that you have, even if it only shoots 8-bit. See, what I'm trying to say is that over the last few years, especially as I focus a bit more my career onto YouTube and this style of filmmaking, I couldn't wait to test a new camera. I couldn't wait to test a new lens. I couldn't wait to test a new accessory, gimbal, you name it. And the more I test these things, the more I realize they don't actually make you a better filmmaker. Knowledge does. So if you can manage to be at least 10% better in knowledge than the average filmmaker, you're pretty much already there. You don't need new gear because the knowledge makes up for it. And it's a clear proof that I tested. I can still shoot on my Sony a7 III for client videos, and if you know how to shoot, you know how to expose well, you know how to tell a story, no one will care. No one will care that you don't have a 10-bit camera and you're shooting with an 8-bit camera instead. So get the knowledge in and put the gear aside. Alright, now that you don't give a shit about gear, it's time to break a few myths when it comes to gear as well. See, we probably all started with the first camera and then got a 50mm f1.2 or f1.4, started shooting flowers in the park and the backyard, and we're stunned about the whole bokeh and beauty that you can create if you're shooting with such a shallow depth of field. Now, when it comes to video, this is a myth that most of us do, but it's actually wrong. You should never shoot wide open because, sure, you can. Some movies do, and some scenes do, and for the right scene it fits. But most of the time you shouldn't. Most of this video I shot a T4 to T4.5, which is like f3.5 to f4. I don't really shoot anything less than 2.8 to 3.2. I think that's the limit that I go to. And even these fancy new lenses that come out, like I just got a huge, massive T1 lens and it's beautiful, but in my opinion, it's a bit pointless because I'm never gonna shoot a T1. It's too shallow, it's impossible to pull focus, you're gonna miss focus 100%. While if you're shooting it like f5 or f4, you still have that beautiful creamy bokeh behind you. It looks beautiful. It's not as shallow, sure, but there's still separation, especially if you're shooting with a cool lens like this 40mm anamorphic lens. It creates a cool effect anyways. So don't shoot wide open, please. All right, so now that you're not shooting at f1 anymore, you're probably noticing something. Autofocus, it's not that hard. And if you find it hard still at f5, well, just be better, because it's really not that hard. We're getting all of these autofocus adapters, LiDAR system, and great cameras with great autofocus, which are great for certain situations, like this. I need autofocus for this, clearly. But not for all situations you do. And sometimes, most of the time actually, that I shoot for clients, very specific campaigns or videos, I use manual lenses because I like that look better, which means I have to manual focus everything, which is fine to me because manual focusing allows me to just focus on exactly what I want, because all of these systems focus on a human face or an animal, and it's very hard to go in between subjects or rack focus in the exact way you want with a digital system. That is incredible timing for the bell to go off, I would say. So yeah, technology is great, but manual focus is something you should definitely master because it just steps up your whole filmmaking style, in my opinion. So sure, manual focus has changed the way I shoot, my style and everything, and sometime I even need to hire people to help me with the production. But isn't it more fun to shoot with your friends and create something great together rather than shooting by yourself just with a 24-70 and a Ronin? This one is about less is more, and probably in a scene where I used 1, 2, 3 extra lights, it's probably not the right topic to talk about, but I want to highlight how less is more when it comes to crews, because sometimes you can light a scene like this by yourself and making it look nice. Just, you know, it took me like 15 minutes, 3 lights, 3 light stands, 1 lamp that it was already there, done. You don't need 10 crew members to always help you. And I worked on bigger productions, and honestly, I usually just prefer 2 to 3 people. I feel like it works better. Everybody does a bit of everything, and it just is a nice vibe. Now, obviously there is a space and a place and a time for bigger productions, but just don't think that you need that bigger production to reach that level. You can do it by yourself or with a friend or 2 friends. It will just take you a bit longer. And staying with the production world, I do want to talk about film school, because I had no idea film school was a thing until I actually started doing video and got a little bit more into the production kind of thing. I just thought you go to school for, I don't know, media, and then that's it. I've never heard of film school. And it's a perfect proof that you don't need film school to actually do this thing, whatever you want it to be. You can learn everything on YouTube. With that said, I do think that film school can be useful if you use it the right way. Film school is great for connections, for example. You need connection within the filmmaking world, because without connection, we are no one. We are just one guy trying to do something, and you need friends within this world to be able to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Let's be honest, we all wish we had that story. You know, I grew up making skateboard videos, and then I went to film school, and now here I am making videos on the internet and working within this passion that I had for my whole life. But guess what? I don't. I moved to London without a degree at 18. I worked as a bartender for 7 years before actually learning that I liked filmmaking at 25 years old, which is now way too long ago. That makes you understand how old I am. But with that said, that's another myth. You don't need to grow up with a passion. You can just find the passion along the way. You don't need to be 20, 18. You don't need to be 25, 30. You can start this at any time as long as the passion is there. I was recently just talking to a friend, and he literally told me that he was trying to make a video for so many time and he still was not happy with it. And let's be honest, we all fall into that bucket. Because in the journey that is filmmaking, YouTube, Instagram, all of these platforms, all of these outputs that we have, the constant battle with good enough and perfection, it's always there. And I'm no one to tell you that something is good enough and you shouldn't chase perfection. But when it comes to my own work, I still shoot videos, and then after 2, 3, 4 months, I think they're good. And that's because you're evolving constantly as a filmmaker, but also because sometimes you just have to turn the page and be happy. Don't stick to it, put it out there, and move on to the next project. So yeah, I thought about this whole video for a while and what I wanted to highlight in this video, because there are so many myths and so many things that people tell you all the time, and you just gotta know which one is real, which one you have to follow, which one not. And sure, you can follow all of them or don't follow any and just see what happens. But the whole point is that I really don't care anymore. I don't care if this video gets 200 views or 1 million. Because for me, even if it does get 200 views, maybe 2 of you watched the whole thing and maybe 1 of you actually took away something from this video, which is more than I ever imagined. Because when I started making videos on YouTube 7, 8, 9 years ago, whenever it was, and when I actually started taking YouTube seriously a few years back, I had no idea I would get to a point where brands would actually pay for me to record a video in front of a camera, which is wild to think of. What I want to close this on is that filmmaking is not about perfection. And like the mentor of all of us on YouTube, or at least most of us on YouTube, Casey Neistat, said, don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. And this is a sentence that stuck with me, because if you're chasing that perfection, you'll never end up actually doing much, because you're spending all of your time chasing that. Just reach good enough, upload it, post it, send it to that client, and move on to the next project. I'll see you next week in the next video.